Cool.
Do I really have to sneeze right as we're starting? This is just keep hitting it. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock, where no weather concerns today, but plenty of pitching concerns because they are terrible. So that's going to be something fun for us to talk about. What we're going to ask of you guys is to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are not already. We appreciate you guys all for watching and being here. If you are a Stochastic sub and you've got questions for us over the course of the show, hit me up in Discord channel. One of the perks of being a Stochastic sub is you do get access to our Discord channel. Eric, what's happening today, man?
Yeah, just doing pretty good. My brain can only think about one thing other than baseball right now, and it's just the fact that my wife is bringing home a dog tonight to potentially be Duke's brother. So, yeah, it's just nothing like spending more money on another dog, and I'm gonna be the one who walks him all the time. So it is what it is.
You sent me pictures of it. It's a very cute dog.
It's a cute dog. Do we need another dog, though? I mean, I didn't even know if I wanted one dog, and now I'm going to have two dogs, and then what's going to happen? We're going to have three dogs, and then I'm going to be a hoarder, and then I'm going to have a stack of magazines sitting outside my back, my back porch, just like when ESPN the magazine used to exist. Does that still exist, by the way?
Nobody knows for sure.
Okay.
Nobody knows. People have been looking into it. No conclusions have been reached. Perhaps trolling you. The sponsor show is also Underdog, which I also think is a slight dig at Eric here. If you do sign up at Underdog using the link we have below, you do get up to a $250 bonus on your first deposit. We got free best ball projections over at Stochastic. If you guys are looking to play best ball this year, sign up at Underdog using our link and check out our best ball projection. It is 100% free. All you have to do is make a free account over on our site and you get access to everything. So go check that out. You ready to talk about these shitty pitchers?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
All right, let's talk about the spend up options. We got four pitchers that are $9K or more expensive. Logan Webb is $9,800 and 17% owned. Nick Pivetta is $9,600 and 23% owned. Nobody's playing Gavin Stone. He's 0.5% owned at $9,300 because he's on the road pitching against the Phillies. And nobody's playing Christopher Sanchez either because he's $9,000 at home pitching against the Dodgers. So nobody wants to roster the expensive Sanchez or Gavin Stone, who are good but not great pitchers in terrible matchups, but are very expensive. What is catching your attention amongst the high end of pitching?
Nick Pivetta by quite a bit. Logan Webb goes up against Toronto. Same exact thing I talked about. And we saw, Yusei Kikuchi mowed down San Francisco on that side of it. But you flip it around and there just aren't a ton of strikeouts going up against this Toronto team. I know that they're not very good here at the moment. I'm not a huge fan. You're going to get, two lefties, maybe three, probably three with Kevin Kiermaier batting ninth, but two that matter from a batting perspective. Dalton Varsho continues to disappoint, and Spencer Horwitz, who's been okay, first base, second base, but they have a 3.2 implied run total in Vegas. I think that that's the main reason that Logan Webb is pulling the ownership that he is. I think it's fine, but upside for a tournament, like trying to win a tournament, I get that it's really good hitting whether they're in Boston, but the exact same thing. I mean, if Brian Bayo can mow down more than double-digit Oakland Athletics, you kind of feel pretty good about Nick Pivetta, who actually has strikeout stuff.
If I'm rostering one pitcher on the high end, it is Nick Pivetta for me. And it's like kind of by default, right? Because you look at the other options. There isn't a ton of strikeout upside in Gavin Stone or Christopher Sanchez. They also each have difficult matchups. Logan Webb, I do think by far Logan Webb is the best real life pitcher on the slate, but he just doesn't generate all that much strikeouts for us to have a ton of interest in him for DFS purposes. Because you look at Logan Webb and he's at home. It's a pitcher friendly ballpark here in San Francisco. But then you get to the other point where it's like, this has never been a guy who struck out a lot of hitters. He's a 21.2% strikeout rate. So what are the odds that he is a slate breaking game? It's probably not.
Never tell me the
probable.
odds.
So it's just by the process of elimination. If I'm paying up for one pitcher today, it ends up being Nick Pivetta for me. Now, with that said, it's not like I have 40% of Nick Pivetta or anything. I have 17% of him. So I'm a little bit underweight to the field on him at the moment. It is a very hitter friendly environment there. And also, I mean, Nick Pivetta is so expensive that this is just not a price that I'm dying to pay for him. So he's my preferred choice on the high end, but it's just because of me not liking the other ones.
Well, and he has a 10% barrel percentage, and he has a 33% ground ball percentage. I mean, Nick Pivetta has very, very good strikeout stuff, and he has very, very good home run prone stuff too. When you have the wind blowing out, it is 90 or 85 degrees here at the moment. It is all systems go for bats from both sides, but Nick Pivetta, I have 28% of, so I like him a little bit more than you do.
Yeah, and I mean, where I prefer rostering my pitchers is going to be in some of the cheaper price ranges. Some of these guys are going to start to come up in conversation right here. We've got in the 8K range, Charlie Morton, $8,800, 6% owned against Arizona. Chris Bassett is 18% owned on the road against San Francisco. Here's the first chalk play we're going to be talking about. Framber Valdez, $8,300 at home against the Miami Marlins. And then your guy, Michael Lorenzen, $8,100 against his former team, the Los Angeles Angels, only pulling 2% ownership.
My guy.
What are you going to do with Framber Valdez, the chalkiest pitcher in this price range? One of two real chalk options of the day.
I have 40% of him. I don't know how you don't play a little bit of him. The ground ball stuff is really, really nifty. You get to neutralize a lefty bat and Jesus Sanchez, who's just absolutely setting the world on fire to some extent. Really good stuff from him this season. And that's about all you can say positive about the Miami Marlins. I suppose you have Jazz Chisholm as well, who from time to time lead off homer yesterday, 417 expected slugging. But going up against a lefty, that's not going to be helpful for either one of them. You have hard hit from Framber Valdez, but a 62.2% ground ball percentage and then only a 19% K rate. But that is obviously going to be bolstered when you have such lovely phenom strikeout options as Jake Berger, Brian De La Cruz, both north of 26%. You're going to get 23% Nick Gordon. You're going to get 24% Ali Sanchez. I mean, there's still going to be some strikeout stuff there for him. Picked on him at the tail end of last season. Haven't played him a lot this year. This is really the first slate that I think it's just kind of like by default. He feels like the guy who has the highest combination of upside plus safety for whatever that is on this slate. And I think Framber Valdez at 8,300, just somebody I'm identifying as like, all right, I can live with at least holding hands with this chalk.
Pitching is so bad today. And I don't usually think this way about slates of this size. To some respects, I almost think floor is more important for pitchers than ceiling for today.
But I'm saying he has the best combination of the floor, ceiling. Like Framber Valdez feels like a guy that, I don't think he's going to put up less than 10, and I don't think he's going to put up more than 30. So like there's some kind of safety that exists there.
And I'm getting to a lot of Framber Valdez. Like, I don't even know how high his ceiling is. When you look at, do you see what his K prop is today?
I did.
It's low. It's 5.5. But I mean, that's still like higher than a lot of the other pitchers on this slate. He's at home. I like the matchup against the Marlins. I do think they're fairly likely to pick up the win. Last I looked, I believe Houston is the biggest money line favorite on the entire slate. So that's something that also indicates some amount of safety here for Framber Valdez. He's popular, 36% owned. I'm playing a lot of the chalk pitchers today. I think they're chalk for good reason. So Framber Valdez, he's in 40% of my lineups with 35% projected ownership. Play him in cash games. Cash games are so simple today. There's one other pitcher we're going to be talking about in the next price range shortly. Here's what you're doing in cash games on DK. Framber Valdez, Frankie Montas, boom. Easy. That's what you're doing on DK cash today. Anybody else in this 8K range that's important to your lineups?
That's important. Chris Bassett. I've got rated 15% of him. Charlie Morton, I have 4% of. Michael Lorenzen, I have 0 of. So kind of Chris Bassett, but not like to some crazy extent. I mean, 15%, whatever.
Yeah, let's see. I've got Chris Bassett in 18% of lineup. So I'm likely going to be that's going to have me a little bit overweight to the field on him. It's a good ballpark for him. It's also another, I don't like Chris Bassett. He's not somebody I typically play a whole bunch of, but matchup against San Francisco, pitching options generally shitty today. I'm playing some of Chris Bassett in San Francisco. Not a priority play for me or anything, but no Contrarian options that are standing out to me here. 7K range. In the 7K range, like I mentioned before, we've got one really, really chalky pitcher, Frankie Montas, 37% owned. Montas hasn't been great this year. He's going to also be in a very hitter-friendly environment in Cincinnati. It's going to be, once again, really warm, winds blowing out, good chance that there's going to be a lot of runs scored in the game. But you have a pitcher who's 7K that has somewhat of a pulse, and he's at home against the Colorado Rockies. It's hard to ignore that.
Hard to ignore it, but I'm underweight to him. He's probably the one piece of chalk that I'm okay being a little bit south on here. I've got him in 24% of my lineups, so not like undercutting it even by half the field, but he's definitely you compare it to Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta has a higher implied run total going up against him than Frankie Montas does. I think that says more about the Colorado Rockies than it does about Nick Pivetta or Frankie Montas in some respects. But you go through individual hitters in this lineup, and well, at the same time that Brennan Doyle's been absolutely out of his damn mind here. Ryan McMahon, he's been good all season long. Jake Cave batting 6th, Nolan Jones 8th. I mean, there's definitely some power that exists for some of these Colorado Rockies in a small ballpark playing small, but it's just one of those slates where if you had to tell me somebody went for 25 fantasy points, I'd put Frankie Montas above a lot of the 8 and 9K range as somebody who's probable to do it, purely because Colorado against righties, we know that there's going to be some strikeout stuff. 25.2% over the course of the season, just a 79 WRC plus. I get why the field's getting there quite a bit.
It's a really good one for me to play both sides of. Like Frankie Montas at 7K. There's clear upside going up against the Colorado Rockies. But then also the Rockies are 2% owned on the other side. I find it very easy to be overweight to them. So in the 7K range, Montas is my overall favorite pitcher. The ownership, I agree with you, it's probably a little bit too high. But it's like, what are the other options here that we're really liking? So let's try to talk about it. Are there any contrarian pitching options that you like in the 7K range to get to pivot off of Frankie Montas?
No. Luis Severino, the opportunity to potentially get a win going up against Patrick Corbin, I think there's something there. 4.5 strikeouts. I'm looking across the industry, 4.5 implied run total. Washington, they don't strike out a lot, but they struck out more over the last 30 days. I'm not really sure that I'm going to end up pulling the trigger in any kind of a noticeable event. Like 4% Luis Severino is what I have right now. Might give him a boost, might get a little bit more, but for the most part, no. Michael Wacha pulling quite a bit of ownership. I'm not really sure about that. And Tobias Harris, Tobias Myers, good Lord, Tobias Harris, that's hilarious. He will be in Detroit. He will be living out his days in solitude, but don't really have any Tobias Myers at the moment. I would say that's another guy that I'm undercutting pretty severely, although with all the implied run totals here, Pittsburgh sitting there with a 3.8, 3.9 implied run total at the books. I think that's all right. We've got them for 4.3 in our opposition total up against, so it looks a little bit different, but I don't know if you got a couple percentage of each of them, sounds great, but 15, 16%, that just tells you what kind of a slate we're staring at. I actually would prefer to completely punt at the far, far bottom with like a Kyle Freeland as opposed to like playing 15, 16% of those Muppets.
I've got close to 20% of Tobias Myers, and I think that the main reason is kind of what you had hit on before, combined with the fact that I said that this is a slate where I think a lot of pitchers are just going to get lit on fire because almost all of them suck today. Tobias Myers at least seems to have somewhat of a floor just based on what the implied team total is, based on the betting odds there. And Tobias Myers / Tobias Harris as, which who knows, right? Nobody's going to watch Tobias Harris play basketball ever again. I don't think anybody's ever watched Tobias Myers pitch. For all we know, they could be the same person. But Tobias Myers, he hasn't been terrible this year. 3.52 ERA, 4.3 expected ERA. Also, not that much of a strikeout stuff, 21.5%. There's worse pitchers on the slate, and the ownership, it's not high. It's not low either. It's kind of modest at 15%. I'm a little bit overweight to him.
Cool. Let's party.
Yeah. So Tobias Myers, he is the most contrarian pitcher that I feel decent about in this 7K range. That's the way that I'll frame it. Anything else you want to talk about in this pricing range? If not, we'll talk about the punt options.
No, I mean, we have to do everything we possibly can to spin anything nice to say about these people down here at the bottom. So Kyle Freeland's the one guy that if you told me, again, this is just like me trying to identify any sort of upside. We have a lot of unknowns, if you will, that exist on the Cincinnati side. We don't know long-term how good of a player Noel V. Marte, Reese Hines is going to be. Austin Slater gets acquired there. We haven't seen a lot of him. He'll probably have to not just be in the platoon, because considering a lot of these lefties are on the IL right now, Jake Fraley, can't remember. Like everybody who's a lefty is basically hurt there outside of Will Benson, who I guess could be the pinch hitter in a spot like this for Austin Slater. But something tells me they just kind of give him full run, try to see what they have with him. They gave up, the prospect, I suppose, to go get him, and it is what it is. But Kyle Freeland, 12.9% K rate looks absolutely abysmal, but you get any of these guys outside of Coors. I mean, this is going to play small. This isn't exactly going to be like your standard, oh, you're on the road and it's going to be distinctly different than pitching at Coors, but he's been actually good at Coors and terrible on the road, and it makes no sense whatsoever. I think he's like got a 1.50 ERA in 3 games, 1 whip at home this season, 11.94 ERA on the road. That's just a small sample size thing. I think we would see a lot of these pitchers perform better outside of Coors if they had longer sample sizes for it or more sample size for it. He's 31. I think there's enough strikeouts with some of these unknowns in the Cincinnati lineup that like I have 8% of him right now at 0.5%. You could be like 2 or 3. I don't really care. The same fact remains. I think Cincinnati is a spot where you're going to get some kind of strikeout upside. Only 22% against lefties on the season, but you have so many of these guys that I think are going to neutralize around a 28% K rate going forward. So I'm going to take a couple of shots there as just a complete dart throw.
All right. So let's, we got some questions here in the Discord. We'll read off some of those, look at some of the, I'm not really getting to any of these punt pitchers meaningfully. I mean, here's how shitty pitching is on this slate. Slade Ciccone is 10% owned against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it's a matchup thing. 24.5% K rate against righties. That's all people are trying to do.
He's got better underlying numbers than what is actually, I mean, his ERA is over 6. But when do you ever see a pitcher going up against a good offense like the Braves on a full slate, right around 10% owned? It just doesn't happen, but that's what people are doing. They're just clicking on the name Slade Ciccone there. Let's see. Do I have anybody who I'm overweight to on this low end here? I mean, like I've got guys where it's like I've got one lineup with Patrick Corbin. Don't feel great about that. I've got one lineup with Kyle Freeland. Don't feel great about that. I've got 2 JP Sears lineups. Don't feel great about that. But it's like, what are you going to do? These guys are all terrible options. And you just get into positions where you have to play some of them at some points in time when you're playing a bunch of lineups. If you guys are playing just 1, 2, 3 lineups, let's narrow down the pitcher pool for what we think people should be playing if they're only playing a few lineups. Then we'll answer a couple questions that are sitting for us in the Discord channel. I'll say Montas, Valdez, Bassett, Pivetta. Just stick to those 4 if you're playing like 3 lineups. Make sense to you, or anybody you would add or cut from that?
Nope, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, so I think that's what you guys could mainly be focusing on if you're just playing a few lineups. Clintwood83 wants to know who are our favorite pitchers for cash and/or single entry. Yeah, Frankie Montas and Framber Valdez for cash.
That is the only combination, I think.
And then Clintwood83 also says, Eric, it's too bad the dog isn't a girl because they could have been Duke and Duchess.
Oh, that's adorable. We were thinking Duke and Nuke for what it's worth. Oh no.
What's the significance of new?
Nuke of the night.
Oh, I thought you said
Duke and Nuke.
I didn't hear.
Oh no, you're all good. Nuke? Duke and Nuke. Duke Nukem's.
All right. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. And then Einsteinium is asking us thoughts on Canning and Gavin Stone. I have 1 Gavin Stone lineup. Do I have any Griffin Canning lineups? As shitty as the pitchers are on the slate, I don't have a single lineup out of my top 150 right now that is Griffin Canning. So the answer is no on both.
It's no.
Yeah. No real interest in Griffin Canning or Gavin Stone there. But I get it. Pitching sucks today. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. At one point, I'd be like, hey, I don't like Griffin Canning at all. Meanwhile, Frankie Montas is 37% owned on this stupid slate. So I can't blame anybody who's like, hey, I just want to pivot off of Frankie Montas and go to Griffin Canning for a couple $100 less. Like, do I prefer Montas to Canning? Yes, significantly. Do I think realistically that Griffin Canning should be 0.7% owned when Montas is 37% owned? It's probably a little bit too wide of a gap, but I don't get myself to Griffin Canning. Anything else to add a pitcher here, Eric?
It's the worst pitching slate of the year.
It's not great. It's not great. For super chats, as per usual, shout out to Chris Williams for gifting out the 5 YouTube memberships. Always appreciate you. And then Charles Kelly says, "I almost there." Okay. Am I missing something with that one?
Nope.
What's almost there?
Your mother, Trebek. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's almost there. But shout out to Charles Kelly. We appreciate the super chat there. If you don't have anything to add at DraftKings pitchers, Eric, we'll look at the FanDuel side of things.
Let's do that. I got to get on my phone to get something in very, very quickly here. And there we go.
All right. Entering a pick'em lineup or something over there?
No, I'm trying to get this round robin to post into the Discord for the people. And it is very important to me. Here it is. Home run round robin. It's I mean, coming off of 2 home runs from Cal Raleigh, and also gave home run from the DFS perspective, Cal Raleigh yesterday. The people want home runs today, and home runs they shall have.
I feel you. It's like us when we're in our post lock, when we're sitting here talking, just dong, dong, dong. So I understand there.
Yeah.
By the way, Eric, tell the people where they could find you in OddsShopper and the hit you had yesterday.
There you go. You can find me over at oddshopper.com. Sign up using promo code Lindy, get yourself 20% off. But Cal Raleigh plus 3,600 to have 2 home runs. Legitimately called it on a video. OddsShopper. Lindy's lean likes and locks the night before. I've now, in the history of doing that video, 3 years I've done it. I've had 3 times that I've recommended a double dong in addition to just the singular dong. And it has hit 2 of 3, and they've both been within the last month. Kyle Schwarber and then Cal Raleigh yesterday. Good times. Come join the party.
There we go. Yeah, go check out what Eric is doing over in the OddsShopper Discord. I posted a ton of WNBA bets earlier, which did pretty well. Had a nice WNBA.
I can tell you one thing: under 8.5 assists for Caitlin Clark did not hit, so that was unfortunate for me.
Yeah, let's see. What did I bet? WNBA
nuclear.
Tina Charles under 9.5 rebounds.
Love.
Jewel Lloyd under 3.5 assists. I don't know these people.
Don't know who that is.
It doesn't matter. It's just tail what's up there on OddsShopper. It's been going well. I've got like 20% ROI betting WNBA. So go check out all the tools we have there. FanDuel pitchers, same sort of deal. The ownership's really spread out. FanDuel pitching, we've got 5 pitchers with double-digit ownership. None of them are going to be massively surprising to you guys. Logan Webb, Nick Pivetta, Framber Valdez, Frankie Montas, Chris Bassett. Those are your 5 popular pitchers on FanDuel. Then you got some pitchers who have some but not significant ownership, like Charlie Morton, Tobias Myers, each at 7%. And there's not a single other pitcher on FanDuel that's more than 2% owned. Who's your favorite tournament pitcher for the FanDuel side of things?
God, it's got to be Pivetta. I think Pivetta's still just got the most strikeout upside. If you told me I had one pitcher to rule them all, one pitcher to find them, I think I live and die by Nick Pivetta today. More than likely die considering the weather. I know he's the most popular pitcher on the slate, but at 9K, I still like getting to him more than I like Frankie Montas, even though you're getting 0.3 more implied run totals in our simulations over here. So for me, going to have to be the Nick Pivetta side of things.
Hate all of it.
Hate all of it? Yeah, no, FanDuel's an awful slate today. Yesterday, I really, really wished I had played FanDuel. Today, I really, really don't want to.
I mean, Montas is $7,200. It's ridiculously inexpensive. It's hard to not gravitate towards that. I'll say my favorite overall pitcher on FanDuel, especially when considering the added importance of the quality start bonus and the win. You got Framber Valdez at $9,800 is 12% owned on FanDuel. So Montas, Bassett, Pivetta are all more popular than Montas and Pivetta nearly double the ownership of Framber Valdez. So I like that you're getting a little bit of an ownership discount on him. I'll say Valdez the guy to go to a 12% ownership. The $9,800 price tag is a little bit steep, but I like it better than playing a north of 20% on Nick Pivetta or a nearly 20% on Frankie Montas, I guess.
Yeah, the other option is just play DraftKings.
That as well. But in the interest of giving you guys the best analysis we possibly can, it's really difficult on FanDuel, but what's going on?
Carlos Correa bomb. Cash it. Oh, there we go. Let's go.
Run, prop bet hitting there. We got 2-2 in that game right there.
That was the afternoon special. Carlos Correa.
Jordan Klein left us a super chat.
Why?
It says, Eric, can you please read the Dirty Ray Allen tweet? What is that? I have no clue what he's referencing. Do people in chat know?
Just Googling it. Dirty Ray Allen tweet.
Does anybody know what Jordan's talking about? Jordan, you're producing the show. Help direct us. What the hell are we looking for?
An erotic tweet. I'm getting there. When you masturbate, think about my tongue on your C word and switching back and forth from my D to my tongue. What?
That's just a text from Jordan Klein where he changed the name from Jordan Klein to Ray Allen. Ray Allen didn't send that.
My neck, my back, my. That's what it sounds like to me. Jordan Klein's a bad kid.
All right.
Does that make you happy? Would that make you love me?
Wait. There's something important here. What the hell is Jordan searching on Twitter? That's what shows up in his For You feed.
Yeah.
I mean,
not a lot going on at home, huh?
This is what happens when his buddies don't come over to play Call of Duty.
I'll suck your dick. Nuke.
Citizen X47 says that was a big story. Was it that big of a story? I don't like. I've really never heard of this. Nor do I know why it is that. Is this?
If it were Jordan Klein, it'd be a very small story. But
Jordan, what is that tweet from?
What are we talking about?
All right, thanks for contributing, Jordan.
Thank you.
Okay, and it's just something you think about regularly. You're like, oh fuck, that Ray Allen tweet, that was pretty hot. All right, there we have. That's producer Jordan Klein directing the show a little bit there. If you guys haven't done it yet, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow Jordan on Twitter for more bangers on the socials there. Anything you're liking in the pick'em streets, Eric?
Yeah, a couple of different things. So we are sponsored by Underdog today. I will say this. This has gotten to be really, really fun. And I posted a card, if you want to pull this up, over on X, Jordan Klein, because it is our sponsor, Underdog. They have been doing really nice things for people in the home run streets relative to even sports books. I mean, you're getting a better price on an Underdog playing 2 home runs than you are over at DK Sportsbook. You're getting almost as good of a price. We're talking like, I think it's like a $2 difference, which when you're talking plus 2,900, plus 2,700, it's more negligible than most other, spots where obviously $2 would be a gigantic deal. Obviously shop for the best odds that you have available to you, but you can combine Rafael Devers alongside Mr. Wyatt Langford, my home run play tonight, and you can put them together and have just north of 25x, getting almost like 27x. Put them together there. I ended up sharing this $25, wins you $675. It's $575 over at DK, or it was earlier today. And on FanDuel, you're getting right around $700 or just short of the $700 to get there. So it's like a $2 difference. Unbelievably great prices by Underdog in the home run street. So do not play them over at the site that starts with a P, because they are egregious prices. Underdog has been doing a great job of trying to give people very competitive odds. Now, you're not going to find a ton of home run plays that are going to be positive EV over at OddsShopper to carry over there, but you certainly are going to find a couple, which is more than you can say about any other pick'em site I've ever been to.
Now we've got, by the way, a couple of things. First off, Jordan getting cooked in the YouTube chat. Probably the funniest one I saw was Jamie Moore post in here, Call of Duty, but he spelled duty like duty, not D-U-T-Y. So that was very funny. And then also we've got EMAC in the chat, which, by the way, when EMAC is giving sex advice out, you guys should listen. This is the man who invented cunnilingus back in the 1700s. So if EMAC's giving you sex advice, pay heed, pay attention. That man knows his things. He's been around a brothel or two in his day. He's run a couple. He's been a customer. He's been a worker there. He knows all the ins and outs. Let's build some lineups in the lineup generator. Pull it up, Jordan. Let's pull up the lineup generator. All right, so we'll start with DraftKings. Also want to let you guys know we still have the Greg promo going on to celebrate the 50K win that I had playing PGA DFS over the weekend. So if you sign up for any package at Stochastic, lineup generator, a Sims package, and it could be for baseball, it could be for PGA, NFL, our all access package. Anything you sign up for with the promo code Greg, you get yourself 25% off. And that deal is going to be ending at the end of tomorrow. So take advantage of it now. And one of the things, like I said, that you could get as a package here is our MLB lineup generator. And also any package you sign up for does come with access to the Discord channel. Let's start with DraftKings lineups. Let's see. Geez. Eric, what do we want to do? Balanced, I guess?
Yeah, let's go balanced.
All right. Balanced lineups.
I mean, Contrarian, I don't need to look at these dusty-ass pitchers alongside like a San Francisco
it's going to be a lot. Today. I assume at least it's going to be a lot of Frankie Montas and Framber Valdez.
I would think so.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
Nope. Oh, Logan Webb. Look at Logan Webb. So Frankie Montas actually in 70% of our lineups. We got Logan Webb there in 45%. Where's Framber Valdez? He's got to be next, right?
It's like when Kobe White was at the NBA draft. Wow, bro.
Wow,
bro.
A little bit underweight, too. That was when Cam Johnson got drafted, right?
Sure was. Yep. And Cam Johnson.
UNC together.
That is correct.
We got Framber Valdez. We actually did come in a little bit underweight to Valdez there, 20% of him in lineups. In turn, we ended up coming in overweight to Logan Webb. He was in like close to half our lineups, but the chalk option we're getting the most of here is Frankie Montas. You're going to feel uncomfortable about it, but you could understand how it ends up happening. And then as far as offenses, looks like we're getting to a lot of the Red Sox and a lot of the Reds, which if we look at our stack exposures, I assume we're going to be seeing, 80% Red Sox, 65% Reds. Yesterday, we were building lineups here, Eric. We also got to a lot of Red Sox, a lot of Reds, a lot of A's. All those teams ended up going off. What do you make of the chalky stacks today? We've got 3 teams pulling double-digit ownership. The Rangers against Griffin Canning, the Red Sox against JP Sears, and then the Cincinnati Reds against Kyle Freeland. Also a very, very depleted Rockies bullpen because the rain delay yesterday, they only ended up getting 2 innings out of Cal Quantrill. These 3 offenses, let's do a fuck, marry, kill. Rangers, Red Sox, Reds. Which one are you marrying? Which one are you doing dirty sex with? And which one are you killing?
Oh, I'm absolutely going to the woodshed / inviting him over for Call of Duty to the Boston Red Sox. There's no doubt that we are going to go on a kill streak, and then we are going to fly that chopper, and we're going to get down on all fours and have ourselves a night like Jordan Klein. Boston, 6.2 implied run total. We just saw that game environment yesterday. Did anybody see some of the pop flies? If you went through some of the StatCast data, which, again, I always have pulled up when I'm watching games, it's always kind of a fun side-by-side thing to see who got lucky, who got unlucky, what ended up happening. But there were a couple of hard hit balls. Rafael Devers, 111.6 miles per hour. Tyler O'Neill, 100.9. Will Uribe, 108. Duran, 108. But then there were some pop flies that ended up leaving the building. The Dominic Smith, 407. That was kind of a wild one. Let me pull this up because I do want to know what we're looking at. Oh, he was still at 107 off the bat there. I mean, there were just like absolute no doubters, 430 feet into the stands kind of stuff over and over and over again. And it looks fantastic yet again today. 85 degrees, 15 out in a smaller ballpark. You get a short porch. Way right, I suppose. Middle right, it plays a little bit deeper. And then the Green Monster exists, but if you hit it up in the air today, it is gone and over that thing. Gonna play short. I love that game environment. So yeah, I'm gonna absolutely do dirty stuff there. I think I'll marry in like a very proportional, nice, kind way the Cincinnati Reds purely because it's a small ballpark, and I will look at the prices and I see all of these regular guys, and we get Slater in there for some savings and everything. They're just cheaper. And Texas, I love. I just brought up Wyatt Langford, but I have to kill them as a stack. There's going to be some lefties I want to get to, and then Wyatt Langford. Adolis Garcia's kind of been struggling. I'll get to him too, but back half of the lineup, probably the least appealing 1 through 9 to get to. So just getting killed off by default.
I'm going to kill the Boston Red Sox. I think they end up coming in more popular even than their current projected ownership because of how they went off yesterday. It's kind of funny too, because the Red Sox, past the second inning, I thought for sure, I stacked the Reds in single entry. The Red Sox were like 20% owned in single entry yesterday. I was like, my Red stacks are dead. I know the Reds got off to a good start, but the Red Sox, they had 12 runs through or 11 runs through 2 innings. And then they didn't do quite that much the rest of the game. So, and then obviously the Reds ended up going off too. Rain delay didn't end up being all that much of an issue.
Athletics ended up going
fine
off
with the Reds, but I do think the Red Sox could end up coming in even more popular than projected. I'm not fading them entirely, but I do have 6% of the Red Sox. So for the purpose of this game, they're going to be the team that I am killing. I'll marry the Cincinnati Reds against. Oh, boy, this is tough.
I'm saying these three are not. None of them are my favorite stack on the board today, so it doesn't really even.
You know what? I'm going to marry the Texas Rangers. I do think they have
the lowest stack percentage of the four, and it's tough. It's tough. You've really put us up there. I mean, I think if you made me like think about it just from like a pure ownership perspective, Cincinnati has to get killed. I mean, they're the ones that make everything worse. And yeah, you're saying Boston's gonna absolutely be crazy chalk. I mean, did you see some of the Cincinnati ownership? It was exactly what we talked about. Marte is 3.4K. Slater's 2.8. Hines is 2.5, and he's going to be the most popular player on the slate. I mean, it's going to be insane, some of the Cincinnati ownership. And we're talking about like the 6, 7, 8 hitters there. So it's like, I don't know. It feels Rob Refsnyder might end up pushing some of that ownership because he's 3.8K betting second today, but I still think we get a little bit lower ownership on the Red Sox than you think. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
So I am actually underweight to the Reds and the Red Sox, but it's not because I hate them. It's just they're so popular. And I do think the Red Sox end up being even more popular than projected. By the way, I'm doing this just to set us up to fail. We're going to get trolled for this later because these teams are probably like all going to end up going off. But in terms of like my current ownership, I'm going to say, I guess, I'm comparably underweight to each the Reds and the Red Sox. I'll say kill the Reds, marry the Red Sox, and I'll fuck the Texas Rangers, the entire team at once.
1 through 9, damn divine. We'll just have to move one
Line
more
them
time.
up. Line them up. Line them up. All right, let's see what else we're getting to. Individual hitters. Duran is in half our lineups. Yoshida's in half of our lineups. Tyler O'Neill, Refsnyder also in about half of our lineups. Connor Wong. This entire team, it's ripe for Jordan to make home run picks, this Boston Red Sox lineup. That's where we're getting to the most here in the top stack, in the lineup generator. And then also Eric referenced some of the data from the top stacks tool. So these are some of the most popular stacks, Eric. Is this where you want to go in single entry, or is there a more contrarian team that stands out to you for any particular reason?
So my favorite stack in large field today is the New York Mets. They get Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin has the highest xWOBA of any qualified pitcher in baseball, period. He has a 303 batting average against that he's gotten lucky to have. He's got north of a 3. He has a 315 expected batting average against him. It is just absurd. The ball is getting put in play routinely, north of a 6 expected ERA. Everything shows you that Patrick Corbin should be out of the league like now, but they're paying him a bunch of money to just eat up innings, I suppose, and be a clubhouse leader or some shit. I don't know. He's just so horrendous. And you get a Mets team that they're going to find ways to disappoint sometimes. But today with Mark Ventos north of a 500 expected slugging, JD Martinez 531 expected slugging, Lindor 510 expected slugging, Nimmo 481 expected slugging. I mean, these guys are just set up to launch it. Pete Alonso 450 expected slugging, Harrison Bader coming along for the party 415 expected slugging. I mean, how do we not like the Mets more than the other three stacks? Just if, all of the things being equal, they're the only ones coming in with positive leverage. They're the only ones in single digit ownership share out of all of those stacks. So there's a lot of cases to get to pretty much every single team you brought up. Canning sucks, Freeland sucks, JP Sears sucks, and the game environments are nuclear. But Mets, I feel like, are the ones that I really want to get to in large field.
Would you like to guess my most stacked team, the team I have the highest ownership on, Eric?
I hope the New York Mets. That'd be lovely.
It's the New York Mets against Patrick Corbin. And it's not to say that they're not popular, because they are pulling 9% ownership, but they're less popular than the other three teams that we just did the F, Marry, Kill game with. And I think that what start do we see Patrick Corbin go out there where teams are not the chalkiest against him? They almost always are. Patrick Corbin hasn't been a serviceable big league pitcher, to what you referenced, for like 6 or 7 years or something at this point. But because he was offered such a bad contract by the Nationals, they are incapable of viewing that as a sunk cost. They have pitched him every 5 days, and I can't imagine it's not a locker room issue. I know you mentioned that like people are, maybe he's a good locker room guy or something. If I'm a young player, I'm on the Nationals every day, I'm like, why the hell are we pitching this guy once a week? He's terrible. Well, he's been terrible for forever. It's not getting better. They're just letting him ride out the contract until it ends. maybe somebody will take a chance on him, becomes like the next Dallas Keuchel type guy where he gets bounced around to a couple different teams or something. But yeah, when you're getting the Mets at modest ownership, again, really, if you get anybody a modest ownership against Patrick Corbin, I'm interested. I'm going to play the Mets in single entry as well.
I love it. Yeah, I think the Mets are the best team to get to on the board. So it was ironic that when you played Fuck, Marry, Kill, that you didn't even bring up my favorite one to put into the combination. I think that means that they are my bitch lover.
Well, I mean, what it means is they're not one of the 3 most popular stacks on the slate, which is good for us.
Yay, go team. Can't wait to watch the Mets put up nothing.
So there it is. New York Mets for me against Patrick Corbin, playing them in single entry, and the team that I like the most for large field GPPs as well. Let's build some FanDuel lineups now, Jordan. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go balance lineups for FanDuel as well. I imagine we're just going to get to an infinity amount of Frankie Montas at
we are
cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I got quite a bit of him on DK in my last run from the Sims tool. I'm going to probably end up capping him to some extent because I can't imagine playing more than 35% of him today. I just can't see it.
Boy, it actually looks like we must be pretty spread out at pitcher on FanDuel. Nobody's in north of a third of our lineups. Pivetta, 30%. There's Montas, 28%. So, yeah, looks like we're going to be pretty spread out at pitcher here on FanDuel. Yeah, there's Framber Valdez, 15%. So we are overweight to Framber there. Then Chris Bassett, 10%. That's a reasonable way to play FanDuel. Mix and match some of these pitchers. I don't think you want one guy to make or break your entire night at pitching over on FanDuel. And then same deal here. Lots of Reds, lots of Red Sox, and a good amount of Mets as well. Mets showing up in more lineups for us in the lineup generator on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings. The Mets are also more popular on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings, but I like them all the same. It's not quite the same leverage on FanDuel because they're 14% owned, but it's hard to avoid the Mets going up against Patrick Corbin for me.
And you're the Mets. Let's go.
Anything that's different for you as far as stacks on FanDuel? Is there a contrarian stack you like on FanDuel that is maybe not contrarian on DraftKings or maybe just looks better on FanDuel?
Yeah, I ran some stuff over here while we were talking in the Sims tool just because, it's fun to do. And I just wanted to be able to talk about it a little bit more informed because I know people are playing FanDuel. I don't mean to besmirch the good name of FanDuel if it is, but here we go. We've got an interesting amount. Okay, I've got some interesting Texas. I've got more Texas exposure over on FanDuel than I do over on DK. I also have some Dodgers. Again, you can get to the Ohtani one-off. You can get to, some Schwarber one-off there as well. The Phillies, a team against Gavin Stone. Gavin Stone's been pretty good, but that is just a really good hitting environment. Just put it in the bucket of games with 10 to 15 mile per hour winds blowing out and over 80 degrees, which we have LA and Philly. We have Oakland and Boston. We have Colorado and Cincy. We have Washington and the Mets. All 4 of those games, all 4 of them, wind blowing out north of 80 degrees. Even Anaheim, we have that going tonight. 81 degrees at first pitch, wind blowing out 6 miles per hour. So it is an interesting slate where you're going to see some bomb.com from some different spots. And Dodgers getting to some Shohei Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez batting second now today. No Will Smith in that lineup sucks, but 1 and 2 mans over on FanDuel. That's kind of interesting to see more of them there.
Are there anything else that stands out to you about the lineup generator lineups here?
Ellie De La Cruz is just like a cheat code for fantasy. I feel like he's the one guy that I go into the Sims tool and boost every day now. I just find it hard pressed that you would go into any slate without like 5 to 10% Ellie De La Cruz minimum. He just does it so easily. It's the Billy Hamilton one-off of years past where he puts up 13 for you immediately. He gets on from a single or a walk, and it just turns into 13 instantly, 15 if he gets that run across the board. It's just getting ridiculous where I just looked back on lineups nonstop where, he ends up being the one-off in so many of these winning lineups at times. And it doesn't really, it's like Ronald Acuna last season. He was kind of that guy where it was just like instant stolen base gratification as soon as you rostered him. I think even against a lefty here in Kyle Freeland, I think you got to do it.
Are there any contrarian stacks you like? You could pull this down now, Jordan. We are don't the lineup generator for now. If you guys do want to sign up, promo code Greg, get yourself 25% off. Are there any leverage stacks you like of the pitchers who are really popular? None of them are terrific Cy Young sort of pitchers other than Logan Webb. Do you like stacking against any of the chalk pitchers today?
Yeah, Nick Pivetta. I think Oakland, the Sims tool is just kind of in love. I've got sub 10% of them here now. I kind of found a way to keep that ownership in check. I do think they end up being, pretty popular to some extent here. I still think you do it. The guy has a 10% barrel percentage. The guy is going to give up solo home runs, multiple home runs at times. I'm just kind of keeping that a little bit more in check because, it's still Oakland. 5.7 implied run total, a lot higher than you generally see for them. And, Pivetta isn't pulling like the craziest amount of ownership right now. Sitting over on FanDuel, he's the most popular pitcher. And on DK, 23% is the third most popular pitcher at the moment. But yeah, Oakland, I'm still going to have a fair share of. I find it interesting that Houston is pulling no ownership today as well. Just tells you how good the game environments are in every other spot here, that we wouldn't be getting to the offense that over the last 30 days, you want to talk about quote unquote hot. The Houston Astros are hot right now.
Two teams. By the way, Oakland as a leverage stack makes sense to me. I do have around 10% of them. And then also, I mean, if the Colorado Rockies are going to be 2% owned, Frankie Montas isn't great. It's a terrific hitting environment. I get the Rockies suck. I'm not looking to play them in single entry today, but for large field GPPs, I like the Rockies a little bit against Frankie Montas. Each the Rockies and the A's, shitty offenses, but I do think that the pitchers going up against are so popular, I should say, that it's worth getting some shares for some of those leverage purposes. Any other stacks that are important for you today?
That are important. I've got a little bit of Atlanta against Slade Ciccone, but nothing crazy. It's just really hard to get away from. So I do have quite a few Los Angeles Angels. So, I'm picking and choosing a couple of them. One of the luckiest pitchers that we've had in baseball this season is Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen is not good. I know that he's quote unquote my boy from Greg, but that is not correct. And he gives up crazy righty power. 251 expected ISO. I don't want to play Rendon because he's dust. I don't want to play Shanuel because he's not a righty, but I want to play Taylor Ward and a 236 expected ISO. I'll take some shots on Keston Hiura there because of the price point, and then Kevin Pillar as well. I think this is an interesting spot. Logan Hop, obviously coming off double dong season yesterday too. Over 80 degrees in Anaheim, really good hitters ballpark, good hitting weather. I think the Los Angeles Angels are a team that if we went back and saw 2-3 of these guys in the winning lineup would not surprise me in the least. And really, really contrarian.
For the most part, I'm playing either some of the chalk offenses we talked about or overweight to a modestly owned Mets, some shots on contrarian leverage stacks in the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland A's. That's what making up my exposures here. Anything else you want to add about the slate? If not, Eric, we'll do our home run picks and we will wrap it up here.
That sounds lovely.
All right, guys. So let's do our home run picks. And you guys know the deal. If you're watching along in chat, let us know who you guys are picking in a home run, and I'll read some of those off here as well. But Eric, who are you picking to a yard today? Who is your Dom pick?
Yesterday was pretty good. Hard to do what I did yesterday and call the Cal Raleigh bombs. But today, we're just going to go to Wyatt Langford. You brought up a couple of interesting points about him the other day and something that I brought up on a show last week, talking about some of the improvements to Wyatt Langford. But when you're looking at homers specifically, you want to have guys that are barreling the ball up routinely, and you want to have them lofting it up in the air. We're starting to see the loft really increase on Wyatt Langford. He was sitting right around 10 degrees average launch angle a month and a half ago. Now sitting at 16.3 degree average launch angle, right around a 42% hard hit. That's only going to increase. He was brutality to start off the season, but he is a sneaky, fast, sneaky, fantastic baseball player in so many regards, defensively too. I think Wyatt Langford is just the overall package as a baseball player, and now the power is showing up at the plate. Love to see it. I think those homer totals are going to go up here in the short term. Only 5 that he's had on the season. I think he makes it 6 tonight. Wyatt Langford plus 500 over at FanDuel.
I cannot believe you didn't pick my guy. I was positive you were going to pick this person.
Go ahead.
Pete Alonso. I really thought you were going to. Pete Alonso is 7% owned against Patrick Corbin today.
Love.
I've got 20% of Pete Alonso. He's my favorite
I got
overall
more.
one-off on the slate. I'm picking him to go yard. I don't even know what else we have to say. You got a shitty lefty and Patrick Corbin going up against Pete Alonso, one of the best hitters against left-hand pitching that we've had in baseball over the last few years, and we're getting him at low ownership. It's not like he's crazy expensive. It's not like Pete Alonso is $6K or anything like that. He's $5,200. So Pete Alonso, that's my home run pick for tonight, going up against Patrick Corbin. Let's see what we have from the YouTubes. YouTube chat is going with, starting with Sotex, Francisco Lindor. Big Kev has got Marcell Ozuna. Michael Roundtree going with a leverage pick there, and Ryan McMahon. Robert Grease, I like it. Francisco Lindor from the Mets. Jackson Chourio from Andy Melman. We got Wyatt Langford from Malucar. We've got John Den saying Billy Hamilton. I mean, no, but I mean, Billy Hamilton, when he was playing, you probably have to 100 games at him before he ended up homering. Pete Alonso from Dexter Mackey. Love it. Josh Smith from EMAC. Nolan Jones is the pick from Mighty Quinn. Aaron Hines is Wilson Contreras. Dr. 2-Inch is going with Jake Berger. Casey Leatherwood has got Reese Hoskins and Tyler Stevenson. Yeah, big game from Tyler Stevenson yesterday. He definitely helped me in single entry. We've got Malucar changing to Corey Seager. Big Facts going with Rafaela. Blake Moore has got Alex Bregman. We've got Wookie going with Harrison Bader. Clip saying there's no way that there's going to be that low of ownership on Pete Alonso. So keep in mind, Clips, I know you play on FanDuel. This is the DraftKings ownership on Pete Alonso. The Mets are much more popular on FanDuel than DraftKings. They're not all that popular on DraftKings.
Yeah, I like Texas
Jose
to get
Altuve
more.
from Charles Kelly. Josh Smith from Hayes. Then we've got Francisco Rubio going with Brent Rooker, and Almost Made has got JD Martinez. Jordan Klein, who's your home run pick? All right. We've got Shohei Ohtani from Jordan Klein. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out our best ball package if you're doing best ball drafts. We're starting to get into that best ball season where a lot of people start to get into their drafts. 100% totally free projections and rankings over at Stokastic.com. Just make a free account and you get access to all that. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.